Hi folks, this is just a quick message. I might do a little video actually. Oh, there we go. It's been very kind of you to message about Sandra. She had cancer and she's had it for a long time. And if you look at the vids, she was going downhill quite slowly. I mean, she was 22, her mind was going and everything. So, and I tell you, this is something, and if you have a dog that's died, it does help if you've got another. I mean, we've got Millie there, and my mates, and I've also got me, Archie, and so I keep putting my fingers in the way. And, the phone's saying it's playing up, so I don't know if this will work or anything. But yeah, if you ever have a dog or a pet, I think it always helps and they always say it, get another or have one, because if I hadn't had Madam over there, also man's in the way, God, it'd have been awful. Well, it is sad. I mean, I'm down today, but I think it's when they're 22, I don't know. I know I had one that died. He had a tumour when he was 6. I mean, that's the one before Sandra. And because he was 6, that just killed me because it just seemed to put. But then again, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's why I feel sorry for parents and, people who lose children, because it's much harder when, I think when someone gets to 90, it's still sad, but I think it's, when you see somebody getting old and so on, it's not the same as a child, or even, even a young adult. I mean, you can be a parent and quite elderly, and even if you lose your child when they're in the 50s or 60s, it's still going to be painful. Incredibly painful. I mean, I don't have children, but I mean, it was like today I was reading about, poor mother has lost the child. I think she was 2, fell in the canal. I mean, that'd be drowned. I mean, you'd be devastated, wouldn't you? I mean, I don't know if you could ever get over something like that. It would take years. But no. I mean, I'm off out just to get a plant because I'm going to bury her in the garden. I mean, there's that sort of, I mean, you probably think it's mad. I couldn't move her last night. She was laid next to me all night, and it's like today. That'd probably be the worst bit, burying her. Almost keeping her next to you. I mean, you can almost see why people go a bit potty sometimes and leave their parents or family members in the house and don't bury them, because by not burying them, you almost, it's like not seeing them as being dead, and that's the worst bit. But anyway, I'm just ranting on. I was just a bit tired last night, but a lot of people said, and I think a lot of people have experienced sadness from dogs dying, well, pets. I mean, it doesn't matter what the pet is, or even family members. I mean, when I was a kid, I was devastated. My hamster died. She was sweet. And sometimes it's worse when it's a hamster, because the life expectancy, I mean, it's about 2, I think. That's the trouble. Oh dear. Anyway, I'm just giving her a quick walk, and then I'll go get a plant. And I'm taking my time because I really don't want to get back to do it. The longer I leave it, in some ways. Oh dear, what a day. So it might be a couple of days. I should be okay tomorrow, to be honest, or in a few days. I just got that little energy. I know, Vicky. I think everyone has. Oh dear. I mean, I was close. I mean, it was like during the lockdowns, my mates, I've talked about him before. My mate's dog, Amigo, we had to put him down, and I was, basically, I saw him as mine. I loved that dog. I mean, we used to go, oh God, I'll be crying now. I mean, we used to go everywhere together. Him and Sander, I mean, they were like best friends. Oh dear. Anyway, I'm going to get off because I'll end up talking myself into being depressed, and well, it shouldn't be depressed. It's you know, it's one of them things. She had a good life. She was 22. I mean, partially, she, you know, but you know, she didn't seem to be in any agony. But I knew she was going downhill. I mean, she could barely walk. I mean, well, she could get up. I mean, the night before, I mean, even the day she died, she got up and had a drink. Yeah, I've got Millie today. Archie, I've left Archie because I've got to go to the shop. You can get away with Millie going to the garden centre, but Archie's huge. Don't think they'll appreciate him. You can sort of sneak little Jack Russell into shops. I mean, because I never leave a dog outside shops or anything these days. Be careful, I won't even leave them in the car. And that's why I take Millie in now, you know, even into small supermarkets, even if it says no dogs allowed. I mean, you know, I'd rather have the security guard tell me off than have her getting pinched, because there's too many scumbags of steel dogs. Even when I'm walking, I was told about somebody who stole a dog, but I think they had it as, I mean, you know, the fear I have is they're put in a dog fight. But what I was told was, it sounds like they took it as a pedigree dog, because it was a small one, but because everyone knew it was stolen, they didn't walk it, so they did get it back, turned up at their house, and they still don't know what they did, because no one, you know, they don't know, they knew the house address because it was stolen from the woods, but it was a lot fatter, so it's clearly hadn't been walked out, presumably because they didn't want to be spotted. But yeah, if you've got a dog, just don't leave it for a second. I mean, when I go to the shops and I see dogs that sat outside, I'll stand these days waiting for the owner to come out of the shop. I mean, I don't tell the owner off anything. I just wait and just make a fuss of the dog, just to make sure no scumbag steals it. Oh dear. Yeah, you will do. I mean, I do think if you get another dog, it helps. But then the trouble is people feel guilty. But, I mean, that's why I'm glad my mate got Ember and Sandy were playing with her. Because I think I'd have felt guilty playing with Ember now. But, you know, I don't. Because she were playing with them together. Oh, dear. Don't know about the weather near you. I'm rambling a bit. I'm tired, but it was just because last night, I don't know, I just didn't feel like sleeping, so I just ended up watching lame films on the internet till about 1, and then the other one wanted a drink, and so I got up. That woke me up. Oh dear. Yeah, it's the best ways to get rescue dogs. I mean, I always think that breeders should have a licence and pay, and every dog should, because just to make it harder to breed. Because the trouble is, everybody sees it as a cash money thing. You know, they'll get a pedigree dog and think, oh well, you know, they'll spend I mean, these days the cost of pedigree dogs is ridiculous. It's almost as much as a house these days. I mean, you could buy a house a few years ago what you're paying for a dog these days, and therefore people go out and go, oh, you know, I'll breed the dog and make some money back. And there's so many pedigree dogs now. I mean, it used to be a lot of these homes were all you know, that there were no, you'd probably struggle to ever find a pedigree dog in one of these homes, but now you can almost get, you know, if you want a pedigree dog, you know, these you know, whatever you call them, dog sanctuaries or whatever, full of them. There's a slug there. Let's see the size of him. Oh dear. Yeah, I had an elderly dog. One of them was kidney failure though, but it was sweet. I think I had him about 2 years. Sweet little thing. I think I presume it belonged to an elderly person because it had never been picked up. Because the moment I picked him up, it freaked out. It took a while to get used to. But apparently they found him on the streets and he was all matted, and they even says, "Oh, do you really want him because he's elderly?" But I went, "Yeah, I felt sorry for the little thing." But he did live. I mean, it was a lovely little sweet thing. Oh God. Oh. I mean, it was a sweet dog. It was West Highland, you know, one of them West Highland whites. Quite thick fur. Lovely thing. I don't know. I forgot about him actually. Shouldn't be forgetting about dogs. Oh dear. To be fair, you know, I mean, it's like, I'll be fine. I mean, you know, it's just because I haven't slept today. I mean, that's why if you listen on the vids, you see the thing was, she was getting up, for the last few months, she was getting up during the night for a drink. And her mind was going. I mean, she would just stand there for ages before she could think of anything. She'd just look and, you know, she'd walk into the hall and just stand there for ages. And then she'd make a decision. You know, I mean, everything was going. I mean, she was about 20. She might have even been older. We have a debate how old she, but I never keep track of how old because it just depresses me. I don't even know how old I am. If you just ask me, I wouldn't have a clue. I just don't like knowing ages. It's just, if you don't know someone's age, to me, you live forever. You know, that's why I don't even do birthdays. Never have done. I've never celebrated my birthday because I just don't want, as long as I don't. That's why, you know, people think that I'm not, when I say, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm 18, I'm not being joking. I don't take track, so in my mind, I'll live forever. Yeah. Sounds like my neighbour, his dog, that was lovely. It was naughty. He used to run around the streets, but it was safe. Well, I didn't just run about the streets, but that got dementia and lost his hearing. He got run over then because he just couldn't, he didn't know where he was, but as I said, he was devastated. But as I said, perhaps that was less, you know, an easy, I don't know, because he was going. Oh dear. She sat there looking silly. Can't. Ugh. Yeah, you see, 20 is a good age. I mean, that's the advantage of, especially if you get little dogs. See, little dogs usually as well live years. It's the big ones that, I mean, the worst one was, I saw this lovely dog. It was a massive one, you know, one of them huge ones. And I went, and he was only young. And the woman says, "Oh, he ain't got very long to live." Oh, nearly fell then. Because he had bone cancer. Oh God, that was, I felt, you know, that's worse because it was just basically a young dog. And he was happy and he was running about. I mean, he wasn't like slowing up. I always think that's worse. You know, at least she was slowing up. And you could see, I mean, she knew she was, but obviously she didn't know she was going, but she was struggling. Anyway. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad I was with her when she died. She just stopped breathing. And her heart kept going for a minute or so. It was That was a bit stressful. I could feel it pumping away, and she just stretched out and stopped breathing. Oh dear. Anyway, folks, I'll leave it there because I just thought I might do a chat later or something. I thought about it, but today I just zero energy, to be honest. Should be, I mean, that's why. Oh dear. Perhaps, I don't know. Oh dear. Such a bizarre few months, really, isn't it, with the protests and all the pro-Palestine protests and the riots and whatnot. All so strange. Yeah. Perhaps from now on things will get better for everyone. I mean, I don't know. Oh, will we have more crazy years ahead? I just don't know. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, to be honest, you just don't know, even if just saying the wrong thing will get you in prison now, or anything. It's all bizarre. I mean, I was watching today, in the news, there's a guy who did a TikTok vid where I think he was supposed to be doing a prank. I don't know if he was doing it seriously, but he's been put in prison. Because I think you have to, if you do 4 things, part false information, blah blah blah, then it becomes a crime. And to me, you know, anything, a joke could theoretically be criminal. You know, can you do a prank or anything? Because after all, jokes aren't real, and they're going to offend somebody. I mean, it's apparently, I think that's the law from 1923. All laws end up getting abused. That's the trouble. It's all very strange. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's just. I mean, for anybody out there, my advice is, regardless if you go on a left-wing or a right-wing protest, just don't go on them. Don't go on these protests, especially when you just don't know if they're fake anyway. I mean, you know, that guy from one of the left-wing groups claimed that all these protests were I mean, it just, and the media went along with it and all sorts. I just wouldn't go on any protests. I wouldn't even have any. I've told my mate, don't have any political views. Don't, you know, if you post anything, be 100% sure you're not going to get sent down. I just wouldn't have any views. Just talk about nothing. I mean, part of me thinks just going to any protest now is dangerous. And you can see, I mean, I was looking at an article someone's posted about YouTubers, one of these left-wing groups, and it just feels like they're trying to get anybody who, you know, has a different view or possible different. I mean, I'm neutral on most things. But, you know, I support your right to have free speech. I'm not bothered if you're left-wing or right-wing. I think everyone should express their views. But, I mean, it's disturbing when I see, I mean, I posted it. I mean, they've read it apparently. It's an old article, but they're resurfacing it again, where they try to suggest all these YouTubers are, you know, I don't know. It sounds like they're trying to get them nicked just because they might have, I don't know, slightly different views to them. And that's, I mean, that's way fascism. I'm going off a different subject, aren't I? But it is. No, I think everyone, I think everyone's going to suffer. You know, I don't think it's just going to be one side. I think that a lot of people are going to suffer, because I think it doesn't matter if you're left-wing, right-wing, or whatever religion you come from. I think eventually it's going to affect everyone. No one's going to be, you know, I think people who think they're safe aren't going to be. That's the thing. It's all very, I mean, I can understand at the moment with the protests, it happened before. You know, it's political. You know, you get everyone in quickly, and it did stop the protest, and I can understand that. But then it's the grey areas. I mean, obviously, you know, if you go out and commit a crime, well, you know, even in America, I don't know. I know people in America saying that it's not criminal to say things, but I thought even in America, if you encourage people to commit a crime, I'd imagine that would be, you know, a crime itself. And I can understand that. If you go on the internet and say, oh yeah, go out and commit a crime, I fully understand. I mean, it's like it's the old argument about free speech. If you go into a building and scream fire, I think you get sent down for it if there isn't one. But then you start getting a grey area to me. It's like the woman who reposted false information. It starts getting a bit, you know, she was wrong, but should that be a crime? I mean, it gets a really dangerous area because newspapers and all sorts, everyone makes mistakes and posts inaccurate information. I mean, it'll end up being, I mean, you know, we'll just get to the stage that only the press are allowed to report anything. And they cover you know, they'll just give them exemptions or something. Because people do generally make mistakes. Just because you make a mistake doesn't mean you've unpurposely done it. I mean, I think with her, she had 44,000 followers, which is, I think, why she was charged. But it's like, it's a difficult one. I mean, you know, it's like, and I think it was an asylum seeker, and he apparently was doing a TikTok thing where he was pretending he was being chased. Well, I don't think in normal circumstances he'd be charged. And he's done a prison sentence, and I'm just thinking, well, you know, it wasn't funny, but just because something's not funny, I mean, there's a lot of people. It reminds me of that Scottish guy who did the joke about his pug dog, and I think that should have disturbed us all, where you're then having to go to court and having a judge. Well, it's not a judge in Scotland, it's their version of a judge, I think, or their version of a magistrate or something, where you're having to defend a joke, and you know, you have to have one person. I mean, this is a trouble. I don't know if someone's coming. It's the trouble with when people talk about these things, is you know, like when people start saying we should have laws on certain things, it's who decides, because then you can have you know, it ends up political, ends up people who will just you know, they'll be saying, well, that person's wrong because they don't hold the same views as me. Now, you know, it's like, one of the things that disturbed me over the, you know, was it Just Stop Hate or whatever, is they were saying there's more of us than you, but that in itself is, I'd argue, fascism, because it's you know, so what if one person has a view? Does that matter? I mean, you know, one of the problems with you know, the German socialists of the 1930s was the majority had one particular view. Didn't mean it's correct. I mean, today it would be, you know, I think everyone would agree, the view from the majority then was probably not the correct view. But under the logic of there's more of us than them, their argument would be, oh, because the majority are their majority, there's more of them, then that's the correct view. And you know, sometimes you know, I'll stick by the one person. You know, one person out of a million should, you know, I don't care what the view is, they should be entitled to have it, even if they're the singularly only, and even if it's a wrong view that you know, maybe the rest of us think is abhorrent. Oh, someone's coming, hang on, just waiting for somebody to pass. Hi. Yeah, you're correct that a lot of people have foolishly posted, but it's the grey area I'd suggest. I mean, you know, if you ever post anything, be 100% sure. I mean, that's why, if you notice, a lot of people who are in the media. And in fact, you might have noticed I do it. If I see something, I don't always do it, but I try to. I say it's been reported. So if something's there, I say it's been reported that this has happened, because again, the media might have actually made a mistake. So by saying it's been reported, you're not saying it has happened, you're just saying that. And I usually often try and say, I don't always do it, but I usually say it's been reported and say the BBC or wherever. That way, if it's later found it hasn't happened, no one can accuse me of saying it's happened. I just say that's where I got the story from. And I think if you listen, that's what, I might be wrong, but that sounds like what a lot of solicitors do. They'll say, it's been reported. They won't ever say this has happened. But it's just a grey area again. It's when it comes to jokes. That's what I think the problem is. Yeah, but you got to remember when you're saying it's changed, the line's changed. Got to remember that one of the reasons why people get prosecuted is a law from 1923, by the sounds of it. That's what it sounds like. There's one from last year. Normally, a lot of people get prosecuted on Twitter and stuff because it's classed as broadcasting, and you're not allowed to. There's things you're not allowed to do, make threats and things like that. But this new one, I forget, I might do a video on it. It's I saw somebody quickly touch it. It's the 4 elements of it is it's the first one, which is quite an interesting one. It's knowingly posting something you know is false. Well, that's, how do you prove that? If I was to post something and I presumed it was true, how do I then go to court and say I actually did believe it was true? Because they could just turn around and say, no, we think you posted it on purpose. Well, the trouble is you're now having to, you can't ever prove that, I would have thought, or disprove it. It's, it's almost guesswork. And then the next one is likely to, I can't remember if this is correct order, likely to stress somebody or something. And another one is, I forget, there's 4 elements, but technically I'd argue that a joke could fall into that, because a joke, if I said 2 people walked into a pub and said X, Y and Z, well, that's not happened, it's false. And that joke in itself could offend somebody. So in theory, are you going down could you be prosecuted? And again, people do prank. I don't think they're funny, but in theory, these prank things could end up being prosecuted, which again, that's what I think with this asylum seeker. I might be wrong, maybe he did do it on purpose too, but it just seems to be, I don't know, it did seem to be a rubbish prank, and that's it. Apparently it never, it was just running around pretending he was being chased. Well, it's the sort of thing kids would do. And to me, prosecuting him for that seems bizarre. Now, I'm not sure. Anyway, it is. This law could be quite, I think it's going to stop any form of jokes, to be honest. I'll have another look when I get home, but I think this law is it can be interpreted so easily. Anyway, I know. Yeah, I can understand. The lockdown was awful. The lockdown, I think one of the problems today is with the lockdowns. I think it sent so many people depressed. And so, I was speaking to everyone daily, and people were drinking more, all sorts. The depression rate seemed to shoot up. And yeah, we lost Amigo, and he was like my dog in many ways. I loved him, it killed me. It was just an awful time. And I think for years we'll suffer from the lockdown effects. Yeah. Anyway, I've had a bit, and I wasn't going to do more than 2 minutes. I was just coming on just to say, thanks for because people were posting. I didn't really post a picture. The reason I posted a picture wasn't for sympathy, to be honest. It was because there are quite a few people know I've got Sandra, and they know she was dying, and it was just easier just to post it than phone everyone. Because I phoned 1 or 2 people, but I wasn't in the mood to chat, to be honest. So I just posted a picture, and therefore, if anyone wondered why I'm not doing a video for a few days, or if my mood changed, it would just be easier for people to know. I might be, because hopefully I can sleep now, because she won't be being woken up. But it'll be strange on the night, because she used to sleep next to me. That's why I couldn't move her last night. It's almost comforting, like a teddy bear in your bed. So that's going to be the strangest bit, not because I'm so used to having her there. Although I've got Millie, but she used to sleep at my feet or on my side, and so that'll be the strange one. It's going to be. In fact, to be honest, the other reason I'm babbiting on is so I don't want to go back and bury her. To be honest, I better get off. If I don't, it'll be midnight. I'll never get round to doing it. It'll be tomorrow. This is what happened with that pigeon. I went a whole week before I buried her or him. Don't know if you saw. I think somebody's poisoned that pigeon, but oh dear. Let's not get down. I'm depressing everyone now, and we shouldn't be depressed. It's a nice day. You're reading the news. There's a lot worse things that's happening to people. Getting that poor woman I think it was either today, it was yesterday, who lost the 2-year-old falling in the canal. God, yeah, that'll be devastating. Anyway. At least one good news is, if any good news is, all the girls, I think they're all girls, weren't they? In Southport, it was reported, I think everyone's now out of hospital, so that's good. Because obviously if they're in hospital, they could be in a serious condition. But if they're out, at least, they'll probably take years to recover. Even the ones that, witnessed it and stuff. Oh dear. Well, things are just a bit of a mess, aren't they, at the moment? Everywhere. But as I say, my advice is don't go into protests at the moment. And even, it doesn't matter if they're left wing or right wing, I just wouldn't turn up. There's too much toxicity out there. And, it's like, you just don't know. Bad faith people turning up who are wanting just to riot. It happened in Rotherham. I think most people, even if regardless of what your political views are, when I went, most people were peaceful, and I think just 1 or 2 turned up just to create problems. I think it was like in Middlesbrough, with all them kids smashing up houses. They're not pro-England. They were not doing it to, for anything. They were smashing their own area up. And people were watching. That's the shocking thing. People were allowing it to happen. You could imagine these are the same people who, if they were to read about an old woman having their house being broken into, they'd be going GoFundMe and all this, and yet they were probably allowing little old ladies' houses to be smashed up. People with, elderly people who are having the car smashed up. There was one who actually, I think, was a carer, and they have raised money for them, but, you don't even know. People having their cars set alight, they don't know if there were kids in them cars. I presume there weren't, but, for all they know, there could have been a little kid or a dog just left for a minute. Boom, the car's gone up. It was insane. And even the left-wing protests, look at them. Look how they're turning out. They've got bad actors on them. The one in Leeds, one of the reasons I'm put off by that now is the other Saturday, 2 of them went out and assaulted it. Was assaulted, I think, at least one person, and that was in every paper worldwide. It was on the BBC, Daily Mail, almost front page, showing the pictures over and over. So suddenly, I know, you might have heard me. I've always, up till then, said, "Oh, Leeds one, it's peaceful," and because I know some of these pro-Palestine protests. If you watch the Manchester one with Charlie Veitch, they get violent. Now, we've had idiots at the Leeds one. I mean, I've been assaulted, by them weirdos. But that was the first time, I can't now say this is a peaceful. So I wouldn't, that's put me off. And I think we're seeing, the other one, wasn't it, was, I can't talk about it because I think it's an ongoing one. But obviously we know somebody suggested killing everyone, didn't they? I think it was a Labour MP. And all them leftists suddenly clap their hands. Well, here's the thing, folks. All them leftists now, this is the point. They could actually all be sacked from work. Can you imagine if they're doctors, nurses? Patients aren't going to, I'd imagine, won't want them treating. If one of them lefties were clapping, we saw two of the women clapping their hands. Now, they're now going to be associated with not very nice people. Within seconds, they probably, up till then, up to that point in the protest, everyone will be going, "Oh gosh, isn't she a wonderful person? Oh, lovely, jubbly." Now she's going to be associated with really an awful thing. And that's why I wouldn't go on these protests. Because you've got people, these, saying things and doing things, and you're going to be associated with them. And again, it doesn't matter if they're left wing or right wing or whatever. These protests are all toxic now. I would avoid like the plague. Just go chill, sit in the garden, forget about politics, forget it. This is what I tell my mate, just forget it. Why bother? You can't do anything about it. Why get worked up? Just go watch telly. What's the point? And don't turn on it. We're turning on each other. We've got, and again, this is my point about these protests. When you see one, this is, if I was going to say anything about them, just stop hate or whatever, they're not helping it, just stood there shouting at everyone else. They don't ever seem to have an opinion. They just seem, I know they don't, because they just get told turn up. They get an email and say turn up. They don't even have a view. And that's why I think there's a certain dishonesty, and it winds people up, because the moment they get asked a question, they're probably, I'm going to tell you something, folks, a lot of the just stop hate people have the same views as everyone else, but they just don't want to admit to it, because the truth is that, there might, it might be a mild version, such as, I think even most people who are pro-immigration go, yeah, I'm pro-immigration, but I don't want people who are criminals, murderers and stuff to stay. The trouble with is just stop hate and stuff is they seem to be purists, as in everyone, doesn't matter if you're a mass murderer or whatever. And I don't think that helps. And it's a bizarre position to take anyway. Just watching some flies in a tree. Most odd. Oh, it's a live tree, it's weird. Oh, I'm tired. Yeah, we've got to start shouting. I get frustrated when I hear people just screaming and shouting at each other. It was like the Leeds protest the other week. For 2 hours, no, for 3 hours, they just stood there screaming and shouting at each other. What's the point? They don't achieve anything, and everyone goes home going, "Oh gosh, I did billing. Gosh, didn't I change everyone's opinion?" You've done nothing. You stood there for 3 hours and just screamed and shouted and did nothing. And these protests are point. I've said it. Even for months I've said protests these days are pointless, because they don't. Everyone has one every day. At some points there's like about 15 or so each day, and they're forgotten about within 2 minutes because there's one the next day. They're just daily. No one remembers. And they merge into each other. No one even knows what they're about. Even like in Leeds, where the Barclays Bank was done over, everyone thought that was what was it, Just Stop Oil, because it was virtually the same colour paint. It wasn't Just Stop Oil. But, you know, no one even knew what, you know, they got caught, by the way, and we can't talk about it because it's an ongoing case. Well, when I say they got caught, maybe they didn't get caught, I should say, because, you know, I think they pleaded not guilty. But again, nobody, you know, whoever did it, shall we say, no, most people don't even know who did it. So they did, you know, it was done for no reason at all. And a lot of these things, no one, you know, everything's done, and, you know, it's like Just Stop Oil. I mean, I'm pro environment, and a lot of people are, but most people are pro environment aren't, you know, don't support Just Stop Oil, because they just see them as just turning people against the environmental issues and stuff. And it's just nonsense. Everyone's just going around just a lot of it, to be honest. A lot of people going pro. God, I don't know how I've got on this from the dog dying. Anyway, but a lot of things like this is because a lot of people go on protests these days for social media likes, and that's all they go on it for. That's all it is. Most people don't believe in anything anymore. I mean, it was just like the lockdowns. You know, a month before, people going, oh yes, we're pro-environmental and all this. And then the month after, they were going, oh yeah, now we're pro-disposable, forcing you to wear disposable non-medical grade, medical grade being N95 or N99 mask, which later, I mean, even the doctors at the beginning, if you ever listened to PM on Radio 4, they said don't bother. They said the doctors need the medical ones and the rest aren't any use. But people didn't listen to that. They went, oh no, they must work. I'm convinced they are. And then so all these, you know, people were arguing environment, suddenly were happy to see the woods. I mean, this wood I'm in now was covered in tat, covered in these fake masks. People just dumping them. And you just see them and you're thinking, you don't believe in the environment, it was just fake. I believe in the environment. I was fuming seeing these masks dumped everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't even see one today. But you can see how they were just flip-flopping whatever the latest thing is. And that's what irritated me, and it still does now. It's why, you know, people have said, well, why am I criticising people doing this, that, and the other? And it's because I knew they were fake. Anyway. Yeah, we have to be careful about what we say. But again, for the authorities, and I'm saying this is why I'm saying this, if you're the police or whatever, I have never, ever, ever once encouraged anyone to go out in a protest, certainly not riot. From the beginning, you can listen, I've stated from the beginning, I've considered protests pointless and discouraged people going on them. So that's I have to be careful now legally, because there, I mean, when you see in that there was a judge in I think, was it Belfast or somewhere, who said that even if you go on a riot, at a riot and stand by, you could be prosecuted. Well, I mean, I turned up, I didn't know it was going to turn into a riot. And what are you going to do? Prosecute me? Because I think the BBC was there, ITV, or do they have exceptional? I mean, they had Zoom cameras, they were closer than me. I didn't get that close. It was the media that got really close. So, if anyone's more filming the riots or protests, it was them, more than me. I mean, I don't think anyone has been arrested for filming these protests. Oh, someone's coming. I'll get off them, folks, because people are coming and they'll think I'm bonkers. I'll see you later. Oops.